Burlington Conservation Commission. This meeting is being held in hybrid format, which means that we have some members who are going to be online and some members who are going to be present. So therefore, we will have to do a roll call for all votes, and I would do that by name. Let's take attendance first. Ed Laturco.
Here.
Okay. Indra Deb.
Here.
All right.
All right, Indra. Bill Boyven.
Here.
Chair Larry Cohen. Here. Okay, how about Kent Moffett? I guess we'll mark him not present. Jennifer O'Riordan. So far we'll mark her not present. And who else do we have? They call
Don Bernstein.
Oh, yeah, Don Bernstein. And he's not here, so we will mark him not present. All right, so we have enough for a quorum. We may continue. The first item of business is approval of minutes, June 23rd, 2022.
Pardon?
Does anyone of the commissioners have anything they want to talk about with regard to the minutes of June 23rd, 2022?
Nope, a couple of minor tweaks, but I told him, do I think we're good?
Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 23rd, 2022?
So moved.
Second. Okay. Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The minutes of June 23rd, 2022 are approved. Next, we have item 3B, the approval of minutes for July 14th, 2022. We had one meeting in July 14th. Any discussion?
Well, Bill has a question about just one sentence that just didn't quite make sense, and I haven't had time to just check it yet, but it was a minor thing within a description. So it's a tiny edit.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in the one
Burlington Mall
road
and
said something like
sentence was strange.
no green space involved or something like that. And
I'll re-listen to that section.
no reduction. There was a word missing.
There was something missing.
Okay. I think that comment was in relation to whether it's going to be a rain garden.
No, it just said green space.
Did it?
Yeah, it was a very, just, it wasn't either incomplete or incorrect. I don't know which, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of July 14th, 2022?
So moved. Indra.
Second.
Second, Bill.
All right. Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 400. Minutes of July 14th, 2022 are approved.
All right.
Four.
All right.
Citizen stuff.
Citizen time, number 2.
What's that?
Oh, citizens.
Citizens time. I missed it. Let's go back to citizens time, just in case there's someone online or present. Is there anyone here for citizens time for something that's not on the agenda? All right, so the record should show there was no response to take up other topics not on the agenda for citizens time. All right, now we're on item 4. Request for a certificate of compliance, 98-108 Middlesex Turnpike. This is the Yard House USA, and it was for a certificate for a stormwater permit. All right, is there anyone online for this at all? All right, so John or Eileen, do you want to say a few words about this one?
Well, I will. So they submitted a request to close out that stormwater permit a couple of months ago, but I asked if they had any records of the stormwater system having been, maintained and inspected in the couple of years since the Yard House has been running, and that had been kind of just overlooked. So Jim DeCoulos spent some time getting them up to speed, and they got landscapers in, and they got people trained so that they could, the landscaper guys could do the, bioretention area, and somebody else could check the the water quality units and the catch basins and so on. So they've had all those inspected now. They've sent a report and they've established a schedule for getting that done in the future. So everything is as far as I'm concerned, they're fine for a COC and all good to go.
So other than the reports that were initially missing, everything else is fine. They're fine.
Yes, they were. Yep, everything's fine.
All right, so Ed or Indra, would you like to comment on the Yard House certificate of compliance at all? Anything further?
Nope.
All right, Bill?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Bill said no, Ed said no, and Indra said no.
Yep.
1,000.
Thank you.
One question. Did you give thought to whether this qualifies for a fine for not having done the reports?
That hadn't occurred to me. I don't think so. Once I pointed it out, they were very willing to get on board. I think these are things that are very easily overlooked. So I'm trying to be more, stricter with people about getting back to them to say that they have to do it.
And you said there's a schedule for the maintenance and our inspections.
Yeah.
Did they send you a copy of the contract?
Oh, well, not of the contract, but I have the first log. And what did they tell me about the next one? The next one, they're going to have a full. I'd have to look back at my email, but I was pretty happy with the way we had left it. It looked like they were set up for.
I'd like to ask the commission, given that they had non-compliance with respect to doing the inspections, I'm wondering if, at the very minimum, now that it's been corrected, we have a situation in place, whether we should have a copy of the contract to verify that they in fact are going to do what they say they're going to do this time. I'm open to discussion on this. I'm just throwing it out to Indra and Bill.
Actually, if I remember correctly, in the past, if we were not getting the inspection report, then, we were penalizing. Now, in this case, what I hear that they are very cooperative, but I think we need to do something.
Well, on the other hand, what you remember for penalties has usually been associated with the installation of subsurface structures and wetlands. We had wetlands to protect as well and other resource areas. So I think those were cases that were sites that were more involved than this particular one. On the other hand, they are in non-compliance with you make a valid point, Indra. They're in non-compliance with compliance with the order for doing the necessary inspections.
Yes.
Ed, anything on that?
I really almost, basically what Eileen's saying is that the reaction to do something immediately seems to overcome the penalty.
Yeah. Okay, well, what I'm suggesting, Ed, and I'm not pushing this either, is do we trust the situation enough with them, because they didn't comply initially, that we should ask them to submit a copy of a binding contract that they have put in place to do this? Just saying you have a inspection scheduled doesn't mean you have anybody to do it.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm just throwing it out there. That was my thinking.
I know. I think it's a valid, very good point, Larry, you raised. And yes, I think we should ask for binding contract.
Well, Bill, comment?
I think we're entitled to enforcement discretion. If Eileen thinks that they are now eager to cooperate, and I'm perfectly willing to go along with that. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to ask for a copy of the contract that we assume that they have. Show it to us.
Which is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Larry, can I interject? John just pointed out that it actually was in the permit that they should provide us with a contract. So I'll ask Jim tomorrow or next week, whenever he's back, for a copy of the contract.
That makes it easy to not have a motion then.
I do trust that he's given me the names of the people who will be doing it. So I have their email addresses, and I'll be on their cases next year if I don't hear from them.
All right, and so you'll request a copy from them so they're in compliance.
Yep.
Good point.
So here's a suggestion. So because this has been on the agenda since I think March or something, you could issue the the certificate of completion and just hold the $10,000 bond until we get a copy of the contract.
Oh, they'd be very eager to give us a copy of the contract in that case.
Yeah, they'll fulfill the requirements, right?
All right, so could I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for the project at 98-108 Middlesex Turnpike, the Yacht House USA for a stormwater permit?
So move.
Second, Bill.
All right, Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, by a vote of 400, the certificate of compliance for the Yacht House is issued. Could I have a motion to release the full amount of the bond, subject to the Conservation Commission receiving verification that there is a contract in place for them to do the necessary inspections in perpetuity?
Move.
Second?
Second, Indra.
All right, so what was the bond for the project?
$10,000.
So I guess I'm suggesting holding the whole thing, in which case they will probably very quickly, you'll get an email.
Next week.
Next week.
Yep, that usually works.
Okay, so Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, by a vote of 400. The full amount of the bond is released, subject to getting a copy of a binding contract to do the necessary inspections for a reasonable period of time. We'll let you guys determine what's reasonable. All right, I think we're all set on that. Thank you all for that. All right, so next, there is a little problem here. I didn't get any of the notices to read.
None of these are new.
Oh, that's
There
fine.
are no new notices.
I thought-
These are all
I thought it
continued from
slipped up.
previous.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's why.
Oh,
Had you go in there for a minute.
I missed something big.
There were no legal ads.
I'd like to tell you I did that to Eileen on purpose, but I didn't. All right, we have a request for determination, a continuation, which is 5A. It's the continuation of 8 Stewart Street, Mr. Gerard Evans. He would like to remove trees, do some minor grading, install a fence and so forth at the property at 8 Stewart Street. Mr. Evans, how are you?
Well, how are you?
Very good since yesterday when we started.
Nice seeing you again.
All right, so you probably should state your name for the record, state your address, even though I kind of did that. And then you just say anything you want to introduce what we're doing here. And then I will take care of it from there.
Perfect. Gerard Evans, 8 Stewart Street, Burlington, Massachusetts. I'm here as part of a continuance, requesting removal of some trees, installation of fence, doing some light grading of the area. As requested in the previous meeting, I have hired an arborist to do an assessment in and around the wetland area of my property. The arborist has identified 11 trees, which are either dead, dying, or otherwise would be potentially hazardous. So I am seeking alignment to remove those 11 trees. In addition to those 11, the arborist also flagged one that was a 50-50 that is directly in the wetland area. And I believe everyone had an opportunity to look at that one yesterday. As far as a recommendation on what to do with that one, I am certainly open to whatever the commission's recommendation is. One of the things I had heard was to leave a snag on that. So I am totally open for that if that is to do for that.
Okay. All right, I will take it from here. Thank you. John or Eileen, any comments on this one?
Right, so the commission went out for a second time yesterday, looked at the site, looked at the 11 trees, tree by tree, that the arborist had indicated were damaged, and I think the commission agreed on all of them. 10 of the 11 are buffer zone trees. 1 is a red maple in the wetland, which is in fairly bad shape. And that's the one that I suggested, basically the snag, cut it, and it'll probably resprout actually, since it's a maple, but, I think the existing trees around the area. There's an understory. It's not clear cut by any means. There's other sizable trees which will benefit from the thinning, and there'll be other trees in the understory which will grow faster from the increased light. So I don't think there's really a need to plant any additional trees to mitigate this, because it's wooded enough, and I think you'll get enough natural growth from what's already there. Additionally, Mr. Evans has proposed a fence. The rear of the yard, the wetland is basically at the edge of lawn. So he's proposing a fence just up gradient slightly of the existing edge of lawn.
All right, I'd like to see if there's comments on the assessment or other situations there. So I'd like to offer it first to Bill, if you have a comment on the arborist assessment or anything else.
Yes, anyone who's watched me on this platform knows that I'm against cutting trees. And my initial reaction was, oh my God, 11 trees or 12 trees, whatever the initial proposal was. But having that thorough arborist report, I found extremely educational and helpful, to the point that each tree was numbered and each tree was described as to its status and both health and safety. And I learned quite a bit from the detailed description of each and every tree. And in going through, I don't know, we walked through 15 or 20 trees, each numbered yesterday. I did not disagree with a single ruling by or assessment by the arborist. So I thought it was helpful, very much so. I would like to see that 50-50 tree you mentioned leave an 8 or 10 foot snag, but it'll either resprout, as John said, or it'll turn into some wildlife habitat, that's for sure, especially sitting in the middle of a wetland. The arborist did refer to that wetland as a vernal pool, but we have no documentation that it is actually a vernal pool, and there was some doubt just from looking at it whether it would be deep enough to harbor the kind of life a vernal pool would have. So I don't think at this point we're regulating it as a vernal pool.
Thank you, Bill. All right, how about Indra or Ed? Anything you would like to add to what Bill said?
Nothing to add. I think Bill said very well.
No, I think he concluded it. It was very educational, and I kind of enjoyed actually seeing how well he laid it out for the Stewart Street. So no, I think well done.
Yeah, I mean, I can just echo what Bill and Ed said, that the assessment was very useful. It drew attention to things about the trees that gave you some pause, maybe that you didn't appreciate either. So it was very helpful to have that, and you should have a healthier forested area probably after you've done all this. Do we have any comments from anyone on the location of the fence or the grading or anything? You're okay with it, right?
Yes.
That's fine.
What was the name of the arborist again?
The arborist was John E. Coppinger III. He is a consulting arborist.
Okay, I just wanted to get his name on the record. Thank you.
All right. Okay, is there anyone in the audience for 8 Stewart Street that is curious about what's going on, has a comment or has an issue? All right, yes.
If I may interject just before they cast the vote. Mr. Keeley mentioned that there were 10 trees with the 11th being 50-50. I just wanted to call out that the arborist called out 11 trees with the 12th being 50.
Okay, sorry.
I just wanted to clarify. It's in the report.
Thank you for that correction. All right, so you're all set now, right? I mean,
And I apologize. There, in addition to the report for the removal of the trees, the arborist also called out that I have some invasive buckthorn and another invasive species of plant, which he has tagged so I can identify it. So I'm requesting alignment to hand cut that.
right. Okay, yeah, we talked about that on site as well.
I would also just like to add that I think this situation showed the benefit of having an arborist who is also not the tree cutter look at the property and not being paid by the number of trees that are going to be cut. So this added weight to his and credence to his assessment.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we have some paperwork to do. I assume we have a negative conditional determination or draft.
Yeah, no,
Eileen and John will review it, then we have to talk about it if needed,
Sure, that is-
just vote on it.
Sure. I do have one more question. It's in regard to stumps. After I remove the trees, how do I go about identifying what we can just reach out to you and Eileen, John, or how do we do this?
So, so only one of the trees is in the lawn, right? Are you talking about grinding stumps?
Stump grinding, yes.
All right, even in the naturally wooded area?
So anything that would potentially damage some of the other trees, I would try to avoid all that. But the two that are like closest to the street and the one in the lawn area, I would like to grind those if possible.
Hmm.
I'm certainly for a separate discussion about that. I'm not looking to damage other.
Okay, yeah, yes. Okay, I mean, the one in the lawn area, certainly I can understand why you'd want that one. The other ones may be, but the ones by the street may be in the way of your proposed fence. Is that why?
Potentially.
Okay, so, I mean, there is a condition here about stump removal, so we can, when we get to it, we could just tweak it a little.
Okay, okay, we'll give some discretion perhaps for consultation with the staff.
Okay.
How does that, I mean, that way.
Sure.
Okay, so Eileen or John?
All right, so there's a project description. It actually says cut 11 trees, so we'll actually make it 12 because that includes the 50/50 tree. Proposed work was located in BVW and buffer zone to BVW. We're not making any finding as to the boundary of the resource area because it wasn't flagged, but one tree is clearly within the wetland and the other trees are vary from approximately 10 feet to 70 feet from the wetlands. And arborists determined that all of those trees are either dead, decaying, or otherwise pose a hazard. So that's it for the findings. For the proposed conditions. Condition 2 is the applicant may proceed with the removal of 12 trees determined blah, blah, blah. Condition 3 is the tree within the wetland shall be cut so the snag portion of the trunk remains. Condition 4 is regarding stump removal. So actually, we don't need to tweak it. So note the stumps of trees shall not be removed without a conditional approval from the commission or conservation administrator. So I can just say from the conservation administrator and strike and just.
Yeah, well, I think you can say the stumps of trees shall not be removed without selective approval from the conservation administrator. That way, it sort of implies that you might improve some, but not all. How does that sound, Mr. Evans?
I'm totally fine with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Condition 5, for tree trimming or removals that are not feasible to do by hand, machinery such as a bucket truck or crane shall be located in the driveway or existing lawn areas. Condition 6, cutting of invasive glossy buckthorn and euonymus is also permitted under this determination. And standard conditions the rest of the way about dumping in the wetlands, use of pesticides, fungicides, et cetera, within 100 feet of wetlands. Number 9 is a standard condition about the commission's right to access to do inspections, and condition 10 is standard about non-compliance.
All right, anyone on the commission have a question about the conditions?
Nope.
I have one question. John, is unanimous?
Burning bush.
Oh, that's burning bush?
That's one type of euonymus, yes.
Oh, okay.
That's the one that was there.
I didn't recognize it. Okay. Okay. All right. So if there's no further discussion, could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14, for the property at 8 Stewart Street to remove trees as indicated in the plan?
So move.
Second,
Second.
Ed,
Yes.
Indra,
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Chair votes yes by a vote of 4-0-0. Negative conditional determination is approved for the property at 8 Stewart Street.
Thank you very much.
All set. Good luck. Thank you.
Good day.
Appreciate the amount of time you're willing to work with us on it. It made it a lot easier.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Good to see you. All right. Next, we have continued public meeting, yes, for the request for determination. This is 174 Wynn Street by Sonny Ferrante to demolish a single-family dwelling and construct a new single-family dwelling. And it was continued from early in June, from June 9th, 2022. Ms. Trudeau, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good evening.
Are there other people with you?
No, Mr. Ferrante had to be in Europe this month.
You had to be in Europe.
Yes.
Hate it when that happens.
No, it's so unpredictable. In any case, Sunny had asked me to come in and work with you this evening on the modified plan that we've submitted for the work at 174 Wynn Street. I'm a little late to the party, but I believe at your June meeting, it was pointed out to Mr. Ferrante that he had not done a field delineation of the wetlands on this property, that he was using like a mapped line. So Mr. Ferrante hired me. I went out, flagged the wetlands line, and found that it was considerably different than the mapped wetlands line that had been included in the request for determination. And in fact, work that had been largely non-jurisdictional was now all jurisdictional. At the request of your staff, we also added in the footprint of the brook that runs behind the house. I guess it's to the east of the house, that is one of your statutorily protected local riverfront waterways. And we have shown the 100 and the 200-foot riverfront areas on the site plan as well. It is apparent now that all of the work that Sunny was proposing is within the 100 to 200-foot riverfront area associated with this little brook. The work has not changed substantively since the June meeting, with the exception of the inclusion of a stormwater management system now. And Alan Nelson, the surveyor for the project, was working with Eileen this week, and we believe has come up with a stormwater management system that mitigates for the total new impervious surface on the site, as opposed to a fraction of it, which was the original.
See something from him?
I think I sent it.
Mary sent something?
I sent an email yesterday, and John, I think, saw it. It was right at the end of the day, and it just had like numbers 1 through 5, which were the comments that Alan responded to your comments.
I didn't touch it.
And then he had a site plan, but basically he agreed with you that there were 10 Caltex units required rather than just a field being shown. And he has doubled the infiltration trenches on these proposed driveway by crowning it in the center and directing flows on either side. And that is the work that you have in front of you this evening. So you've revised the wetlands line, changed the jurisdictional areas that from the original submission, added riverfront area protection zones to the site plan, and included stormwater management in the proposal.
All right,
Small changes.
small changes. Okay, and that's this plan right here with this.
Yes.
All right, John and Eileen, could you, obviously provide comments, but could you comment on what requirement that work within the riverfront, closer in the riverfront has, and the need for any mitigation for the project for that?
Okay. So this is locally regulated riverfront only, so it's, this is an intermittent stream, but it's shown on our streams map, our regulatory streams map. So it has a 200-foot riverfront area, with a performance standard bylaw only. But the bylaw shares the same requirement to make improvements in the riverfront area that you would have under a state regulated riverfront area. Which they are proposing. If you look at the limit of work, the existing lawn goes close to the wetland line now. So a sizable portion of the backyard, previous backyard, would then become naturally vegetated riverfront area. That's a plus. The minus is the house is closer to the brook than the existing house. It's directly behind it. And if the applicant were here, I'd suggest asking if the house could be moved up. Unfortunately, so he's not here.
What are you saying with regard to the house being moved back? What are you saying with regard to a 20-foot no disturb zone?
So the 25-foot no disturb zone, I'm not saying anything about that. I mean, you can easily get that and more.
Right.
I think the proposed erosion control line is more than 20 feet.
That's close to being 40 feet away,
Yeah.
one small area.
Yeah. So
That's
that's,
supposed to be 40 feet away.
Well, the erosion control line.
Yeah.
which is where you'd put the demarcation. So you'll have more like a 40-foot no disturb to the BBW.
Are you proposing they put a fence here? Oh.
Doesn't really show.
There's also quite a bit of debris on this property. Old cars, old boats.
From the BBW.
There's
You're putting it back there.
all kinds of trash that will be removed. Almost all of it from within the 0 to 200-foot riverfront area. And so there are actually, I think, 2 cars sort of in a wetland area that will be removed.
2 cars in a wetland area.
Pretty much, yeah.
So the rest
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
okay.
back.
Yeah. Not really like nice cars, like they're not a car you would.
They're not as nice as the cars in the driveway.
No.
No, yeah. Hard to say, but
Wasn't a Prius?
I don't mean your car, I mean the
no,
That's right.
sticking out of it.
yeah. There's quite a few cars on the property.
Yeah.
Several.
So there's improvements to the riverfront area, but there's also the houses.
Because of the trash being removed.
And the fact that you're going to require them to pull the lawn much further, pull it back from where it was mowed before. So it was mowed way to the back, almost to the wetland before. I mean, it looks like a field now. I mean, the grass was long because it hasn't been mowed, but you're not going to allow them. I mean, you're going to put demarcation in and require that riverfront area to be restored.
Is the demarcation shown on the plan?
Well, no, the draft
No.
condition is that it goes basically where the erosion controls is.
They're confused because
Where the erosion control.
put it in the determination, but nobody knew that.
Yeah, I can't even see the motion controls from here,
Where are the erosion controls?
Oh,
and I don't get ahead and get a copy.
I think this
Yes.
Are they yellow?
line here,
Which line?
oh, sorry, my mouse is very small. I usually make it bigger. It's, let me zoom in even more.
Can't see that.
I actually gave you a bigger version of that yesterday, Larry.
Oh, yes.
That might be easy.
Here we go. Aha, look at
This
that.
one's hard to hear.
And you're talking about doing what on that line?
That's the
So
erosion.
basically making a
It's gonna be a
demarcation,
idea of this
all this riverfront,
demarcation
currently lawn,
Right.
would just be.
close to the house.
And a lot of lawn.
Get to talk to him today?
No, I have not spoken to him. I suspect that Sunny is going to prefer it to run more like at the 25-foot, but he may end up having to modify that with you. If you're recommending.
At the 25-foot
Yeah.
W, is that what you're saying?
So this
I
is
suspect that's what he assumes, that he has a 25-foot no touch.
Asian.
All of the riverfront area,
Thinking that he might have
All right, we got it.
more.
Well, it depends what you have for demarcate. You put
is
it.
lawn. Do you know, like, we're not taking down any native vegetation.
Right.
No, they're more.
All right, let's get back on track here for a moment. What it seems to me, and I'm saying this before you folks comment,
Yeah.
is that essentially that the new owner, without the house being pulled back, is going to exit his house onto a slope, and he's going to have about 15 feet before a demarcation says that you can't use it for the yard. Isn't that what it is? Is that wrong?
I'm sorry, we were just discussing that, and I think that my client would prefer more of the yard area being
All right.
kept in a usable condition, i.e. being mowed. He doesn't need to do any grading or tree removal or changes in the topography of the lawn area, but I think that he would like to perhaps mow to the 25-foot zone.
Because he's out, because basically that line where the erosion control is, it's out about 15 feet.
Right, that's his limit of work line, where he would like for his construction. He doesn't need to go further than that to construct the house. But he would like more yard.
The commission, not only is it 15 or 25 feet, very short for a backyard.
Yes,
The slope is pretty steep right where the back door is. and he's gonna go out, and what happens is, and if he's the type that sleepwalk, the owner is sleepwalks, he's gonna go, phew.
I think that my client would prefer that if there's going to be a permanent fence used as demarcation, that it be further away from the house.
I get it, but the point is that if he's not changing the grading, the house, the back door of the house is going to be opening onto a slope going down.
Well, he said
Not that,
basement.
not that, yeah, he's got a walkout basement. I don't think that's a problem because this, where the existing house is, it is a little steeper, but this house is set further back into the yard. And the reason that he has set it back instead of replacing where the existing house is Wynn Street is really, really busy. And that he's trying to give a little more privacy to the house by setting it back. And he has a large lot and feels that he can do it on this property. So this will increase the front yard, which is not of interest to you.
Let's see what the commissioners think about having
Right in the blue.
a backyard that essentially is a slope, fairly steep, and 15 or 25, depending on what is decided in this public meeting. And the other thing I'd like to ask you could consider is the opportunity for a homeowner with a very brief backyard who is going to, when nobody's looking, is going to try to expand it.
Larry, can I just, I'm not sure we're all talking about the same line, okay? Can I, if it's okay?
Yeah, please.
See the blue 100-foot line? That's somewhere approximately around the 30-foot line that Larry's, that John is suggesting. See the blue line that's
Honestly,
showing there?
what?
He suggested 30 feet away from the BBW, not from the back of the house.
Oh, I thought you said the line was going on the erosion control.
I misspoke. So in the draft condition, I put 30 feet off the wetland line.
Oh,
In the draft decision.
So do you see that,
okay,
just vaguely, approximately, just the easiest way to say it, is this blue line here?
I see.
Is thereabouts, something close to it anyway. That's what John is suggesting.
So I can measure it.
That's acceptable to us.
Yeah, I can measure it with my.
I'm just saying
What is
approximately.
the-
That's the 100-foot, that's the 100,
Okay, so it looks like it's about 30 feet.
just giving it, that's something easy to look at.
So.
Yeah.
Right? With that line.
That is,
30 feet from the wetland.
Oh, 30 feet from the wetland.
yeah, I know, and there's the 20, so,
Okay,
and like there-ish.
It's in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
so I have to
Calibrate.
That wasn't what Larry called.
We're engineering on the fly, yeah. Okay, so are we doing 30 feet from the middle of the wetland that juts out? Or are you asking for 30 feet from the end? Or what do you suggest?
They've got the 20 and the 40-foot lines marked on the plan.
Yeah,
20-foot buffer, 20-foot buffer zone. 40.
yeah,
So it would be like in between
I
those.
think they're
In
talking
the
about
middle of the yard.
that way.
They go diagonal.
Yeah.
Yard and go straight across.
right, from the middle of the okay, I see now.
They're managing.
So he's getting some lawn area, but he's also giving up some area because it will be behind the fence and not mowed.
Yes.
But it is his choice to move the house back and sacrifice some lawn area.
I think definitely.
Yeah.
It's a huge lawn area now. I'm not sure that there would be that many people who would be interested in maintaining the entirety of it.
Yes.
Maybe.
Next door neighbor.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like he wants 50 feet back from the street,
What? From the street?
from the front of the house, from the front of the house.
Oh,
He wants about 50 feet,
yeah,
and
yeah.
current house is about,
Oh, no, it's 20,
30.
oh, yeah, sorry, you're right. No, the existing house is 30.
current house is 30,
Right.
and he wants to add another 20 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, you're correct. He's looking for about a 50-foot setback off of Wynn Street.
Anymore.
As opposed to the existing 30-foot setback.
It's an additional 20 feet further setback.
Yes, and he's giving up at least 20 feet of yard area.
Right, so let's go to the commissioners and see for additional comment. Indra, you've heard all this, various things about the positioning of the house. Do you have any comment?
I can draw on
I don't have a scale plan here.
Only thing I was thinking,
Larry does.
like the existing dwelling was almost beyond the 200 feet riverfront. And now the new or proposed dwelling is totally within 200 feet riverfront. And I understand they want the privacy, but this is about 30 feet, they're getting. So I would have preferred like they do the proposed dwelling further front of Wayne Street. Further, not 30 feet.
So are you proposing something, Indra?
Yes,
I don't know.
Could you summarize that, please?
I said if the proposed dwelling could be brought front
Not gonna be.
towards the Wayne Street, instead of 30 feet, it could be 20 feet. I see it is 29.9 feet right now.
Market.
Right.
So if it could be brought front.
Instead of 50 feet setback, you're suggesting 40 feet?
Right,
What he wants though. How do I
Is
do
that what you're saying?
yes.
Okay, okay.
Find a market.
Thank you for that input. Ed?
I had no problem with that, but I'm still back to your original thought that, we physically kind of saw walking out the back of that house. We moved that back 30, 40 more feet. He's going to be walking straight off that slope. So he's got to create some grades there that's going to help with the exiting of the house.
Right, that's why I'm tending to agree with what Indra just said, for that reason.
You think that will help it?
Yeah, it will, because it's right when it starts to drop off is the edge of the house. So if you come back 10 feet,
Correct.
you'll be able to have an exit like a normal human would on a level area.
Okay. Yeah.
I think my client would accept a 40-foot setback.
Sorry, what?
What's that?
I think my client would accept a 40-foot setback off of Main Street.
That,
That would be my guess at what he would say. So, yeah.
thank you. You're speaking for him, so that's,
Yes, I'm channeling him, but I think he would take that.
well, and
I don't have
the
the.
client is in Europe,
He's in Europe, yes, he's
probably watching on Zoom maybe or
I'm-
something, I don't know.
true.
You never know. Okay,
In that case, tell him it's 15 meters.
Yeah.
all right. So,
But it is midnight probably there.
okay, I think we've heard from Ed, we've heard from Indra. Let's go to Bill.
Well, if you do move it forward 10 feet, I think that's an excellent gesture and a compromise. It's still not, all the way forward, but it does give you opportunity for more of a backyard with less of an influence of this current open space, drawing people to, create a lawn beyond that. So I think that would be an optimum arrangement here. And I would like to see a fence across that. The line that John showed, I think would be fine, that suggestion. That would still be outside of the 20-foot buffer for majority of it. We'd cut a corner there if we put it straight across, but I think that would be acceptable.
All right, I agree with what Bill, Ed, and Indra have said, and Indra's suggestion, as a matter of fact. And the thing I'm lastly wondering about is whether simply removing the trash and the old cars on the property and things like that is what is meant by some improvement to the river. I mean, is that the only improvement? I just wonder if that's,
Well,
No,
they're gonna
we're
let it
talking about
revegerate.
demarcation and letting the
Revegetate.
riverfront,
There's 50 feet of land being given back.
yeah.
Well, 100.
all right.
Because I agree with you 100%, that if somebody deposits trash all over the place and abandons cars, then removing it, they can't claim an improvement for that, so.
Do we know that the gasoline tank, that a full gasoline tank and oil have not leaked out of those cars?
I was just going to say the same thing.
So have you been to the Board of Health about this project? Or do you have to go?
I do not believe we have to go. They were probably copied on the filing.
Get a demolition.
They'll get a demo.
Yeah.
They'd have to.
It may be that they do ask us to look at the soils beneath that. I suspect that the amount of spillage would be small enough that we wouldn't have to do, an enormous cleanup. The only mitigation that I can think of that might be valuable in that area, aside from any mandated cleanup, would be that as the cars were removed, 3 shrubs were put in the footprint of the cars just to make sure that buckthorn doesn't take over
Good idea.
the space, because I think there's 2 cars that will come out that are right at the wetland edge, and if you put a few shrubs in it.
I think, that the applicant should touch base with the environmental engineer. And, I think, John and Eileen, I'd like to suggest that you send a note over to them, just to let them know that those cars have, 17, 20-gallon gas tanks.
To be decided.
And if they were 3/4 full, you're talking about 15 gallons of gasoline being poured into the soil and oil.
Boy, but the gasoline is volatile, it'd be gone by now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well,
Move it around.
I think it's worth asking the question.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
but the oils and stuff definitely.
so. All right, so is there anyone in the audience for this, 174 Wynn Street? All right. All right, so I think then in that case, we have a negative conditional determination ready, or we don't have it?
We have one, but aren't you asking them to change it?
Yes, they're gonna move the house.
Yeah,
We can't approve it then until we.
oh, that's right.
This plan.
That's right. We can't,
40 feet.
yeah, we need a new plan.
Okay. I can,
Fence and
yeah, John, we'll have to check in on the fence location, like what I think I heard and what you think you want. But I can get a new plan to you in a day or two, and it'll be on your next agenda.
Well, I think, but they want the house moved up.
Yes, that's what,
Okay.
that's the
Yeah.
plan change.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a 40-foot front yard setback, a fence at the 20 to 30-foot buffer zone line, 3 shrubs per car,
Right.
and check the soils beneath the car.
Yeah, I think
You know,
you should be in touch with the Board of Health, the environmental engineer for the town, and apprise them of the situation that the Conservation Commission has recommended that they review the situation with the old cars and do
Yeah.
whatever is necessary. And we've also asked for our staff will send them a follow-up note as well. Based on this discussion. I assume. All right,
Are you meeting again this month?
no. The next meeting will be September 8th.
Oh, okay, that's not gonna make him very happy.
What's that?
But we already know what the permit will look like.
Right.
So, okay, I think that's okay.
Yeah, pretty.
Since all the major things have been decided upon, I assume that we'll be ready to close on this at the September 8th meeting.
so this will be the 3rd meeting for this RDA. Would you be willing to give us the authority to okay demo permit on the site? He's gonna have to demolish the house. Can he start demolishing the house before he gets the determination of applicability?
And remove the cars and things like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think so. As long as the appropriate erosion controls are in place, and as long as the Board of Health is on board with the removal of those cars, the locations of the removal of those cars.
Okay, so that'll make him happier.
That'll make him a little happier, yeah.
That's good.
Not totally happy.
Not totally happy.
It's the sign of a good agreement when only.
No one is really happy. Everyone is a little happy.
All right, so we'll see you on September 8th, and we'll plan on closing at that time.
That sounds great. All right, thank you very much.
Hey, Mary, thank you. Interesting, okay.
Nice, what's that?
No,
Next, we have a request for a minor engineering change. This is item 6. To the 2021 negative determination of applicability for the electric transmission right-of-way off Wynn Street put in by N-Star Electric doing business as Source Energy. Is there somebody here for that project?
Hi, yeah, good evening. For the record, Sarah French here with VHB speaking and presenting on behalf of Eversource.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you as well. Do you guys mind if I share my screen? Then I can kind of bounce back and forth between the old filing and the new.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay. Let me know when you can see my screen.
And we got one.
Yeah.
Oh, had one.
Oh, there it is.
Can you see? You can only see. Are you looking at pictures or a figure?
Switch between
And
the
the
two.
green
Well, we had a
boxes.
picture and then we have a map.
Okay, so you can see both of them. Great. Okay. So again, for the record, Sarah French, VHB, presenting on behalf of Eversource. So we had an RDA, had a negative determination that we received from you guys. It was about a year ago. It was last September. So to kind of jog your memory, it's the intersection of right-of-way 5 and right-of-way 9 off of Wynn Street. This is this Eversource right-of-way. We have a vegetated wetland here. We have this stream. However, the stream is by law only. We've been in here a number of times delineating this wetland for various maintenance projects. Eversource, we've never identified a stream. But we do have that on there because it is within your, your bylaw mapping. So vegetated wetland, bylaw only stream. And the project is essentially the replacement of these two switches. Here are a few pictures just to kind of jog your memory of the area. These are the two switches that we're proposing to replace. These old, structures, the wooden poles, the fence, the gravel around it, those will all be, wrecked out and restored. And we are proposing, our original proposal was, let me show you, find this map. So our original proposal was very kind of simple. These two, these 4 structures were going to be replaced with these two pole switch structures. Since the, over the last year, Eversource has decided to go with a different manufacturer for the switches, the Southeastern Electrical Company. Therefore, the switches that they're going with are slightly larger. So this is our old, the old RDA from last year, the map set. This is our new proposed. So we have, these are the existing, the gray dots. These 4 are the existing. And then we're proposing these 2 new switches. And if I zoom in a little bit, you can kind of see their slightly larger fence line than the existing that we had proposed. And we also have a few different minor engineering changes. We are proposing 2 intermediate structures, which are these pink dots, which are kind of on, away from the wetland side. And then also we have some conduit, which you can kind of see this kind of light pink line. We'll have some conduit that will run from the new switch to a manhole box, which will all be communication wires. And so those will be, trenched in. It'll be like a 2 to 3 foot wide trench that they'll open up the earth, lay that communication wires in, and then that will all be restored. We also have some minor tree trimming, some tree removal and limb trimming over on this side of the wetland, just because there's some lines that connect over from this neighborhood that are kind of encroaching. So while we're in that area, we're going to kind of do some, tree trimming, just kind of some danger trees that have potential to fall on the lines there and potentially create an outage. And then we also have this proposed gravel driveway here. We also have some, another kind of difference from the conditions in the negative determination from last year is we had proposed just temporary grading. We are going to need to do some permanent grading. So this will kind of where these new fence lines and new structures will be, will kind of feather the grade so that it kind of, feathers down towards the wetland. We don't have any, proposed disturbance to the wetland itself, just buffer zones. This pink line is our proposed erosion control. We'll likely use some sort of silt fence, maybe hay, straw bales, but really what you guys, determine and want us to use for that. Trying to think if there's anything else. I think that about covers it. So these will be wrecked out. These two new switches, which you guys had known about, but they're going to be a slightly larger footprint with some permanent grading. And then we propose these two pole intermediate structures, and then this manhole, which will be for communications, and this conduit will be put in. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the commission if you guys have any questions.
Great, thank you for that summary.
Yep.
Eileen or John, you have comments on this one? It's looks like a lot of changes, so I'm interested in your view.
So, I mean, it's kind of a lot of changes, but when the overall site isn't really changing that much, and the newer stuff is not that close to the wetlands. So as you know, minor engineering change isn't really a thing in the Wetlands Protection Act. We do it frequently with orders of conditions. We do it much less frequently with the determination of applicability. So one of the things when they described it to me was trying to decide whether or not they just void the existing determination and file a new RDA, and what would the benefits of that be? And I looked through the conditions that we put on the original one and tried to figure out whether or not there'd be any additional conditions. And I couldn't think of any additional conditions to add to the original determination. So it seemed to me it was easier just to do this. It's not a public hearing either way. So
We can ask questions and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so let's go with Indra first. You have any comments on what you heard so far?
Yes. What are those 4 dots, pink dots? I couldn't catch those.
These,
Right.
the pink.
Yes.
Yep. So those are going to be new 2-pole intermediate structures. So those are going to be 2 structures that will kind of, based on the engineering design, they'll kind of connect the switch infrastructure to the existing infrastructure over here.
I see. Okay.
Does intermediate, excuse me for interrupting, Indra, but does intermediate mean temporary and removed after construction, or are they permanent?
No, they'll be permanent.
Those are permanent, okay.
Yeah, they're permanent.
All
But
right.
are you taking out those 4 poles?
Yes, these will, this gray, these 4 gray structures, this fence, all of this gravel, that will be all wrecked out, removed, and restored with loam and like a conservation seed mix.
Okay.
Any of the grading areas also, that will all be, loamed and seeded and stabilized.
Okay.
All
So,
right.
but
Are you
still this,
all set, Indra, or more?
okay, so is it offsetting like this once the area of these 4 poles, the area, you are making it, taking out the gravels and everything.
Yeah.
And this the switch you are providing, that area is how much more bigger than this existing?
From the filing that we did last year, the fence line has expanded maybe like 5 to 8 feet.
5 to 8 feet. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
From the
All right.
existing filing from last year. Yeah. Slightly larger footprint because of these new switch infrastructure that they're using.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Ed,
The 5 to 8 feet is actually going on the other side away from the wetland, right?
It is, yeah. I think it's kind of extending up here, but I think there is a small portion that's kind of extending down on this side as well. I think it's somewhat centered. Let me see. Let me look. I have the engineering drawings too, which kind of give you a better idea. Yeah. So these these are the existing, this will be the new, and this is kind of our grading, our proposed grading. See, I don't know if you can see the existing. Oh, why can't I zoom in? Bear with me.
So the difference in size is merely different. It's actually a fence, right?
It's the fence. Yeah,
Not the structure,
because
it's
the
just the
switches, right, because the switches are slightly larger than what was proposed last year, the fence line has been bumped out just by, 5 to 8 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the box the lines are coming out in the ground, that's in the ground.
The conduit, yep, that's gonna be communication conduit.
Is that still the same?
We did not have that proposed in last year's.
Okay, so that's new.
That's new, yep, and they'll just be trenched in, temporary trench, maybe 2 to 3 feet wide. The communication conduit will be laid in. Everything will be tamped back in place, loamed and seated. So that'll just be like infrastructure.
Okay. I'm good.
All right, Bill, comments?
Indra had covered my comments on the definition of those intermediate poles, and so that's all I really had. The increase in size doesn't bother me because it's just really a fence line that's changing, and that's not going to be much of an impact on the wetlands. The trenches are temporary, so other than that, I don't see anything significant.
I had a comment on the bottom right side of that fencing. It touches the wetland, doesn't it?
Nope.
No?
Nope, this is our fence line here. This is our wetland line here.
Okay, what is that green on this drawing that I'm holding up?
Oh, sorry.
What is this?
Just get that now.
Yeah.
I'm not,
You see the green area and the fence line, they touching each other?
Oh,
I can't see what you're holding up. Hold on.
fence line is the yellow there.
The
not
first drawing.
The fence line is the yellow.
The fence line is the yellow,
Yes.
not the black.
No, the black is just our temporary work area.
Oh, okay. All right, that solves that
The
problem.
yellow, yep, the yellow are the two new fence lines.
All right, so let me ask you, you're also doing some trenching
Yes.
in that corner. Are you?
No,
No?
not in that corner.
Looks like there's a pink line going.
That's our erosion control line.
Which line is that? It looks like there's a manhole down the bottom of your picture.
Yep. So this is a manhole, and then these really very kind of opaque pinkish lines that go from the new switch structures to the manhole box. That's our trenching. That's our conduit.
And what is that hot pink line to the right of that?
The hot pink line is the erosion control line. That'll be like our silt fence. Nope. That's our erosion control kind of around our entire work area.
All right. So are you digging in your trench enough that you need some dewatering?
So John and Matt and I met out there last week and I brought up dewatering. I don't anticipate that dewatering is going to need to happen, especially with the drought conditions we have this year. But if for some reason dewatering does need to happen, there's a very good portion, the big portion of upland area that we can just pipe it out to and use, a straw bale corral or a dirt bag or something to filter that.
Right. Does the decision, the original decision, ask for them to contact you in the event that dewatering is needed?
Does the old conditions say that? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm asking the staff that.
Okay. Sorry.
Because often it does. So if there is dewatering, the conditions that you have on the negative conditional require you to contact the office.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever you guys want to put in the conditions is fine with us.
It's already there. It's for us.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I would just ask that you guys revise the conditions to say that any grading is restored to existing grade. That was in the conditions from last year, and I know that the grading is now going to be permanent.
The new grading is going to be what?
Permanent.
The new
Permanent.
grading is now going to be permanent. You had asked us last year to return any of the grading that we did
Oh, okay, all right.
to existing grade, but we cannot do that. So there is going to be permanent grading. So if you could just tweak that language
So
in the
Eileen,
condition.
would you, in the decision for the minor engineering change, that language that you send them?
Right, it had said there shall be no filling or grading of the property under this decision. So Sarah, what do you need instead?
So we just need you to change the language. Our grading is going to be permanent now. So
Okay.
we don't have the ability with the way the engineering is designed to return it to existing grade.
Okay,
Okay, they got it. All right, so
Great.
is anyone else have a comment? If there is not, then could I have a motion to accept the minor area engineering change as discussed for the 2021 negative conditional determination for electric transmission right away off Wind Street for N-Star Electric, DBA, Eversource Energy?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes,
Bill?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. By a vote of 400, the minor engineering change to the 2021 negative determination of applicability for Eversource is approved.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.
You too. Thanks for your time, folks.
Thank you.
how many people are going to disappear? 1, 2,
Okay,
there's several.
next we have a continued public hearing, 39 Uneven Drive. All right, so we have someone here for that one?
Yes, I'm here for that. This is Maureen Harold, Norse Environmental Services.
Sure. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. How are you?
Relieved that it's not so hot.
So at the last commission meeting, the commission asked for a few minor changes to the plan. Namely, the abutter to the south of the property had concern about possible runoff onto the property. So the original proposal showed an infiltration trench down the entire length of the driveway.
Right.
We were asked to revise that to show the infiltration trench at the end of the driveway, as well as to incorporate a berm along the southerly property line, so that essentially no water runs off towards the neighbor's property.
Right, that was the bit of discussion at the last meeting.
And I believe that addresses all the commission's concerns from last hearing.
So John and Eileen, do you have comments on this one?
No, I think that Maureen had provided a very good explanation the last time of what it is they're proposing to do. It's in the riverfront, and all work will remain outside the riverfront. I don't have any issues with this, and as she said, the couple of things that we asked them to tweak, they did do.
Okay. Any comment, John, on this one? All right. Ed, do you have any comments more on 39 Crest Haven?
No, just that one thing taken care of.
Okay. And Indra, anything more?
no, nothing to add.
And Bill?
Nothing to add.
And I have nothing further. Is there anyone else in the audience for 39 Crest Haven that has a question? All right, I guess we.
I should just tweak what I said. The whole property is in the riverfront, but they're keeping everything outside the inner 100 feet. That's just to clarify.
Okay. All right, so I guess we're ready to review the draft.
Will it work if I just switch over?
Well,
No, I don't think it does. I think it does if it's word to word. Okay. So this just describes the project as being demolition of a single-family house, construction of a new house within riverfront area of a locally regulated stream and within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. The plan was, I actually think I might have to change this. Was the plan revised since this, Maureen? The 25th? Or was that the last date? Oh, that might be correct. I'm sorry. It's been a long gap between meetings. That's what it was.
That's correct. Yes, the 25th.
So the proposed work was within the 200-foot riverfront to a locally regulated stream and within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW. The closest point of the proposed new dwelling, the deck, was going to be approximately 45, almost 50 feet from the BVW and 125 feet from the stream. The shed to be removed was in the BVW and the closest point of the existing dwelling was approximately 20 feet from the BVW. So just to clarify that the old house was much closer. This project is exempt from the stormwater management regulations, but they are proposing to infiltrate the stormwater on site using a drip edge trench around most of the house and the driveway to a stone trench flanked by an earthen berm to prevent overflow to the neighbour. The findings just repeat how the stream was approximately 90 feet from the house and the new deck was going to be 125 feet from the house. The bylaw regulations require improvements to the riverfront area when redeveloping in the riverfront area. The applicant enhanced the riverfront by planting 3 native trees and 2 native shrubs behind a new post and rail fence or other demarcation and allowing the previously mowed area behind this fence to otherwise naturally revegetate. The Commission finds that the riverfront improvement, this meets the riverfront improvement standard. And I think that we are proposing a bond of 2,500 in this case. And then the order, which I hope I can switch between. Again, refers to the same plan which was last revised in July of 22. And Maureen is very familiar with all of our conditions. The first several are standard. We're talking about this order permits work within the bordering vegetated wetland because they're removing the shed, within the buffer zone to wetland and within the riverfront area. Skipping down to the pre-construction conditions, they will apply erosion controls per the approved plan, and they'll contact us for a site visit when they have recorded the ORD, whether DEP sign is in place, and to approve the erosion control barriers, which we are saying shall include but not be limited to 9-inch straw wattles and sediment filter fabric fence around the limit of work, including on the Cresthaven Drive frontage. Materials shall not be stockpiled on the site within 15 feet of the erosion control boundary, nor at a location that would allow materials to run into the street. The rest of these conditions are pretty standard about no dewatering unless we approve it and keep the street clean, and we reserve the right to require additional erosion control. No additional grading beyond what's shown in the approved plan shall be permitted without additional permission. Permitted without permission, okay. Pollution control conditions are all standard about how much fuel you can have on site and what to do if there's a spill. And pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides shall not be used within 100 feet of the wetlands or stream. And this condition shall be a perpetual condition. Under stormwater management, we have reiterated that the rooftop and driveway runoff shall be infiltrated into stone trenches, which should be 2 feet wide and 2 feet deep at a minimum, as shown on the approved site plan, and an earthen berm shall also be applied along the right south side of the driveway trench to prevent overflow to the neighbouring property. For buffer zone protection, we are asking for a post and rail fence across the rear of the lot, as shown on the reference plan. It will be closer than the 20 feet from W because there's a lot of wetland on this property. This BVW demarcation shall be maintained in perpetuity and noted on the certificate of compliance. The shed in the wetland shall be removed by hand only, and no heavy equipment shall be used behind the erosion control line. For riverfront area enhancement, we talked about the fact that there will be no removal of trees. 3 native trees and 2 native shrubs shall be planted within the vegetated area behind the fence, and those plantings shall be monitored for 2 full growing seasons and will be replaced. Once it fails to thrive, will be replaced. And the areas behind the fence shall also be left as naturally vegetated riverfront area. And this condition shall be noted in the certificate of compliance. And then these are just the last couple of conditions are about how to go about getting their certificate of compliance.
All right. So, any comments from anyone on these conditions?
I have one comment.
Yes,
Condition number 48 had mentioned no removal of trees is permitted. But we did file to remove that decrepit, I think it's a spruce tree that's in front of the existing dwelling.
Oh, I can just say, other than the single spruce in front of the house.
Okay, thank you.
good catch.
Thank you, Maureen.
All right, anyone else? Ed or Indra? No?
Nothing.
Okay, Bill, anything further on this
No,
one?
nothing further.
I have nothing further either. All right, then could I have a motion to close the hearing for DEP file number 122-680 for 39 Crest Haven Drive?
So move.
Second?
Second, Indra,
Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Chair, by a vote of 400, the hearing is closed. Could I have a motion to adopt the findings under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for 39 Crest Haven?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes,
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The findings are approved under our Burlington Bylaw. Could I have a motion to approve the order of conditions, the permit for 39 Crest Haven under both Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act?
So moved.
Second.
second,
Okay. Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
yes.
Bill?
Yes.
The chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The order of conditions is approved. Could I have a motion to require the posting of $2,500 performance surety for 39 Crest Haven under authority of Burlington Bylaw Article 14?
So moved, Indra,
Second.
Second.
All right, Ed, how do you vote?
Yes.
Indra?
yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes by a vote of 400. The request for $2,500 surety is approved. Okay, Maureen, thank you for all your effort on this one.
Thank you for your time this evening. Have a great night.
All right, you too. Stay cool. Okay. All right, here you go, Bill. Next is planning board comments.
Nothing.
The only thing we have is the comment to the Board of Health for the 174.
Yeah.
Subcommittee and staff reports? Nothing. Okay. Other business?
We've been asked to keep an eye out for spotted lanternfly. It's
Right.
it's moving across the state, it seems.
Does it go after a particular type of vegetation?
Tree of heaven, and is something else? It is.
That would be a good thing, actually. That's an invasive species too.
Does it have any natural predator?
I am actually not aware of
I don't think
that,
so.
whether it does.
That's not good news, is it? No. Spotted lanternfly.
Pretty little thing.
I'm just going to show you the poster that one of our interns just made for us today that we were putting up around about. So
We put up a notice on our website about this.
I've already, oh, sorry, yes. I have like retweeted and stuff on social media, but yeah, I could put something on
It'd be
the,
nice to have a link to it that the spotted
that's what he looks like.
lanternfly is coming. And it would be nice to have some information that people are supposed to report it.
We'll put it on the website too. Yeah, we've made a couple of posters with this, this is the QR code that
Yeah,
Billy put on, so
that would be good.
you can actually, your MDAOR wants you to report it.
Who wants you to report
The
it?
Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources.
All right, and what's the scan me, what does that QR code take you to?
It'll bring you to the MDAOR site so you can report it
Oh,
and more information about it.
okay, now what do they do if you report it? Do they go after it at all?
Well, I think in Massachusetts, they're still just trying to get a handle on where it is. Apparently, when our intern was looking up this up in New York, they've asked people, just stop telling us. We know it's everywhere. Stop telling us. So, but Massachusetts still wants to know.
Okay. Other business? Okay, we have September town meeting coming up at the end of September. And we have our wetlands bylaw on tap. We have some revisions to it. I was planning, as I did before, when some of the discussion was more conjecture than facts, I posted a nice summary of what we were doing. I will draft something and get it to you folks to take a look at before we post, and I'd like to post it on behalf of the commission, if it's all right with everyone here.
It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Be useful.
In post.
On Facebook, on the residents page,
And we can put it on our webpage too.
and the webpage too. All right, so I'll draft something, take a look, and then edit as you see fit. Okay. All right, at September town meeting, don't we have something else going on? We have. No, I guess not. I guess that's it. All right. All right, so the next meeting is in September, September 8th, we will meet. And I guess we'll continue with the hybrid format, John and Eileen?
If that's what the commission's wishes, it seems it's fairly popular. You're allowed to do it, I think, until, I think it was extended till next March.
Right.
So Ed and Indra, you are online. You like this format?
For me, right now, yes.
Yes.
All right. Why don't we continue it then? Sounds good?
Yep.
Yes, it does. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. Glad to do it. The next meeting is September 8th, and the one after that, though, is September 22nd. 22.
I will not be here on the 22nd.
All right, Bill is out. All right. All right, so is there anything further before we adjourn? Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved. Indra.
Second?
Seconded.
All right, Ed, how do you vote on adjournment?
Yes.
And Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so by a vote of 400, this meeting of Burlington's Conservation Commission is now adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.
I actually just exchanged an email with Jim DeCoulis, so he's just said apologies for missing your slot. Please let me know anything. And I mentioned about the contract. He said he'll get that to us in the next few weeks.
And
his
in exchange for a release of the bond, he would be.
Well, yeah, I told him. Apologies again for the sort of the oversight of the whole thing.
I think